Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Her Daily Rhythm. We are in 2025 and we have an incredible lineup for you over the next quarter. I'm Natalie Smythe, your host. If you haven't met me, I'm a nutritionist, naturopath, meditation teacher, and I'm guiding you on this journey with FemVerd, which is a wellness platform dedicated to empowering women from the menstrual cycle up until menopause. So together, you're really in for the treat this year. I hope you signed up to and listened to the previous episodes that we had last year. So for this episode, I wanted to go a little bit deeper. Last year, we had a lot of interesting guests and we really delved into topics of Ayurveda. And everybody has their own way of teaching and guiding all of this wisdom, all of this universal wisdom. And every single person is so individual. So the symptoms that I have are going to be the symptoms that you have compared to your neighbor. If we're experiencing PMS or PMDD or headaches. And so what I really want to ground into you and what I really would love for you to take away as we get going into the year, as we interview these incredible experts, giving you more wisdom so you can utilize into your journey of health, is going back to the basics. And I know in the episodes you would have heard me always drawing the expert to these practices, and what they will always highlight when I always ask them what is the number one takeaways and tools, and we can always concur that it's unfortunately the not so sexy things. It's the habit building. What I love to do actually in my practice, and it takes time, is habit stacking. So what can you stack on top of each other? For example, in the morning when you're having your shower, can you do your dry brushing? Can you do your oil pulling? And can you do your meditation in the shower instead of something that might cause a little bit of overwhelm? So it's really practicing and trying to build a habit upon a habit. Now, in today's episode, I really want to take you through what happens when you come to me, when we have a consultation, what I'm really looking at. And in integrative medicine, functional medicine, naturopathy, we look at, it's called systems biology or systems health, because if you came to me with a headache, I'm not just looking at the symptom of the pain. I'm not just looking at the inflammation or your pain receptors. I'm looking at, maybe do you have gut dysbiosis? I'm looking at, maybe have you had a trauma? Maybe do you have inflammation, or do you get it at a certain time of your month? Or maybe is it related to your cardiovascular system? So everything builds upon everything. And once we have a pattern going, you can see how that might be related to, maybe at a certain point in your cycle, you get a rash, or maybe you're getting this eczema or psoriasis, and it will piece together to all of your different symptoms. So it's really cool when you can understand it and track it for yourself and start to listen to the subtle clues in your body, because we do speak about this a lot, that it's very slight. It might be, you get a little pain after eating something, or maybe you feel a little bit fatigued after you've eaten something, or in the morning you might wake up a little bit groggy, but you keep going, you take the coffee, you go to the workout, modern lifestyle and all of this. We know this and we adapt. And what I also have spoken about in previous episodes is like this ADHD. I'm not discrediting the diagnosis, but again, it's an adaptation to response to the world taking from you at large. So let's go into what I like to call is the functional medicine tree. And basically we start at the base, the soil, right? So we have an expression in functional medicine called, when you're working on somebody's gut, we have to really clear and take out everything. Instead of taking another nutraceutical, like a herb or a supplement, or you're taking your zinc or your magnesium or some painkillers, or you're just taking some probiotics because you've heard that probiotics are great. Well, okay, but can you digest and assimilate that pharmaceutical medicine? Can you assimilate those probiotics, or are you just creating expensive pee, as we like to say? So there is this saying, we are what we digest, but actually what is more accurate is we are what we assimilate and absorb. So when you are eating, when you're eating packaged nutrients, when you take that into your body, when it starts off in the sensory experience, because digestion starts with our olfactory senses, right? Our smell. That's when we can smell someone beautiful cooking a meal for you at your restaurant, and you start to get that saliva going. And that saliva is amylase, it's digestive enzymes. And then once you've got that digestive enzyme, that amylase going, that will either break down proteins or carbohydrates or your fat. Sometimes you might not have enough of one or the other if you're not able to digest, or you might feel a little bit full, or then it comes down to your stools and there might be digested particles in your stools. That is all information. So if from that beginning you're not able to give enough space for your digestion to create those enzymes, then you're just eating and it's going through your body, and your body isn't able to pull apart all the enzymes that go to supporting your white blood cells, your immune cells, and then goes down to your hormones, and then is able to really make that blood really not sticky, but we want it really fluid and going through your whole cycle, and then going down to your small intestines, your large intestines, and then all of those pieces are dispersing into your body to give you energy and vitality and go to your skin and build. So this whole process is going on really every minute, but we don't acknowledge the intricacies and the incredible insights that our body is doing all the time for us, and it does do it naturally. But if we're eating things that aren't recognizable to our biology, and that's okay. We live in a modern lifestyle, there's so much deliciousness, there's so many different products. But if as time goes on, and we're not doing these cleansing processes, and we're not kind of like clearing out the gut, or we're not listening to our body, then when there is a little bloating, or maybe our mind is not feeling completely stable, we might have a little bit of a low mood. Because remember, serotonin, 80% of serotonin is made in the gut, more so than the brain. And what happens, that serotonin that's made in the gut travels bidirectionally through your gut-associated lymphoid tissue up into your gut. So if there's any inflammation or an imbalance of different microbes to good bacteria, bad bacteria, virus, fungus, so we have so many and they work collaboratively together, then that is going to really impact that process. So let's start by, if we look at the functional medicine tree, so what are the things in the soil that really help boost this growth? Well, first of all, we hear it too much. It's sleep, it's relaxation. And so the amount of sleep and relaxation you need is obviously always dependent on the individual. And now that we're seeing with women that it might actually be more than 8 hours. So it's always listening to your body. But are you actually getting into REM? When you are going into your sleep, what does your sleep hygiene look like? Do you have blackout curtains? Are you getting enough melatonin? Are you able to process out that light? Activate your melatonin hormones, to really activate those hormones in your brain, which connects straight to your hormonal system, connects straight to your luteinizing hormone, or your fertility hormones too, because they really need that rest, which we speak about, which is imperative to ovulation. So when you're getting your rest, that is also when you're recalibrating all of your system. We're really working into our longevity. We're decreasing our inflammation. Mind is resting, because when you wake up the next morning, you should be able to be fully switched on and fully energized for the whole day and then rest again. But I don't see that happening, and I experience the same thing. So we know that rest piece is fundamental, because when you're tired and you're fatigued, you're not making the right nutritional choices for your body. Your cortisol is elevated, so you're just going for those cortisol quick fixes. And we know what happens with elevated cortisol. That really creates this dips. It means that our cycles might be shorter or longer. They might be more painful. Then that creates more inflammation, and then we're more in an inflammation. And that goes into chronic inflammation as well. So sleep is really important, as I've mentioned. And if you have any problems, we've got a sleep episode on that. Exercise, movement, it's very obvious about movement. We are sitting far too longer than normal. We now know that studies are showing the longer that we sit, it creates those inflammatory cytokines again. We need to move our body for our detoxification system and our lymphatic system. Even if it's doing like 10 squats every hour, we need to build that muscle, right? Because our muscles is a whole endocrine system as well. So when we're building muscle, we're building more tissue that's decreasing our cortisol. And we really need to have our cortisol levels lowered for our hormonal systems and our hormonal network from every single age. If you don't use your muscle, you lose it. If you don't use that cortisol straight in the morning, you lose it. It creates that fat around the belly too. So if you are having some problems with kind of like that fat around the middle picture, you want to make sure that you're exercising within that hour of rising. Even if it's just going for a walk, it's doing a couple of stretches, it's doing some star jumps, it will really help that picture of kind of that hormonal weight symptomology. Then obviously nutrition, hydration, we speak a lot about this. This is just the basics. And I've spoken about in previous episodes, it's not about cutting out anything, but it's really keeping that food diary of after everything that you eat, just notice how do you feel. Maybe eat slower, or when you're combining certain foods, do you feel energized after you eat, or do you feel tired? Do you get maybe a little bit of like tightness in your chest? Do you get maybe a little bit of flatulence? Are you groggy? Do you have any bloat? And what are your bathroom habits like? When are you going to the toilet? Are you passing your first stool first thing in the morning, right? Because you've eaten the night before. So if you're not going in the morning, that can cause a bit of stagnation there too. A great tip for if you haven't been in the habit of going first thing in the morning is just on rising, taking a glass of warm water really helps to get everything fluid, and then sitting in that squat position. So putting your knees onto your whole digestion, and your digestive system is in that response so it can excavate really quickly. We speak a lot about nutrition. I'm not going to speak about it too much, but I really want to advocate of these simple tools as to just noticing how you feel after every meal or any snack, and really checking in and creating this relationship with the world around you in an experiential way, because it can really impact so much. We've spoken about stress and resilience a lot, but this piece is I don't want to say underrated, because I feel like we're always speaking about stress, but what I mainly want to speak about is everybody's stress response is different. Because when I see a lot of people that are in my clinic, they tell me that they're not stressed. But then the whole case that they've just talked me through will be otherwise. So it goes down to that adaptation, or it goes down to that comparison, or keeping up with people, and shame, and so many different things come into that piece, and trauma, and doing some internal work, and things that we've experienced but not processed a lot. Because remember, the body keeps the score. If you haven't processed anything, or even those moments when you're stressed, or you have a call or a stressful, you feel anxious, your body tightens. It stays in your biology. And if your body keeps the score, you just need to move it. We see this in the wild with animals. You see this, they're constantly stretching. So they're constantly stressing and shaking because they have experienced some type of stressor. And we are actually the same. We don't need to hold on. So it's utilizing movement, utilizing the intricacies of your body. Your body is so intelligent. And I speak about this so much, but I really need to drive this home. So any tightness that you're feeling, that's like a buildup of tissue and stagnation and the fascia and all of the layers and all of the tissues. So we just really need to release that. So all of our nutrients and everything can flow through pretty fluidly. I spoke about trauma a little bit. It stays inside us. So even if you need a therapist to move through some work, what are your relationships showing you to? Are they causing tension and stress? Are you holding on? I know in clinic that I see is that certain relationships, particularly sexual health, or if a woman is experiencing thrush or candida, if it's quite frequently, that could be an indication that unfortunately you might be with the wrong partner. Or what is your skin looking like? Are you getting rashes? Are you getting eczema? Are you getting psoriasis? What are you holding in? Whatever we have going on in the inside, healing starts from the inside out. So anything that's going on in the inside and on our skin is a direct relationship and is directly sharing us. The microorganisms all around us, we've spoken about the COVID times of just hyper sanitization. Sanitization obviously is important, but it's that balance too with your microorganisms. In your diet, are you including fermented foods, whether it's yogurts, kimchis, kombuchas that have this natural lactobacillus? And remember, we've spoken about our vagina has a different pH requiring more lactobacillus species. And our guts require different species again, and there are so many. So it's just important to keep that balance of those microorganisms, getting out in nature, breathing. I mean, so many studies that if you maybe have a pet around, that changes the microorganisms and can protect you from certain, colds and flus. And if you go out in nature, if you're gardening, all of that has different species, very different protective species as well. So really nature knows. And we speak a lot about environmental pollutants. I know particularly I'm speaking to you now from London, so that's quite difficult to remove yourself from. But it's just, what are those habits that you're building outside? Are you getting into nature? Are you able to look at the sun? Are you able to get sun rays on your body without being in all of this unnatural light? What have you checked as what are your cleaning processes? What are you using in your laundry? What are you using to wash your hands? Do you have an air ventilator? Are you able to, what is the dust? Making sure that you're removing all the dust. We've spoken about dust before, but dust carries, insects, it carries human dander, it carries all of the environmental toxins from the outside. So just those really healthy habits are so key. And so that, my friends, is a bit of the basis. That's the basic foundation of what I want you to just start with. So as we proceed into the following interviews over at least the next quarter, I always want you to be thinking about, how's my sleep? How's my exercise? How's my nutrients? How's my stress? I've really got these great. And then when I listen to these experts, they're going to be adding in those tips too. But there's no point taking on those tips and the advice and the supplements and all of the advanced stages unless we have got the foundations, unless we have the habit stacking. You can't really achieve the ultimate states of where you want to go unless you have the basics right in your life. Would you agree? And then next week, I'm going to talk you through about all of the different organs and connections there. But I really, 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 really would love you to get these basic foundations. Please write to me, send to me. I'll list in the notes, and then we can check in there. But it's been a pleasure as always. Next week, we've got an incredible Ayurvedic practitioner speaking. Then we have a femtech incredible expert, which I'm so excited to share. We've got hormone experts, and I'm really so excited to share with you and create health and harmony and living from vitality and seeing your body as a vital sign and working with collaboration and connection. All my love. Thank you. Take care.